My friends, once again, I can't help but to look at some new disturbing information about real estate, in this case specifically condos, but again, real estate in general, it's all tied together. Condos in Miami, condo glut. Miami's condo glut from Wolf Richter. And then Zero Hedge, another same thing. I keep bringing up the auto industry again and again and again. The auto industry is about to drive off a cliff again. I think I might. Which one do I want to start with? Oh boy, gosh, I feel like a kid in a candy store who gets to have two pieces of candy instead of one. Well, where do I start? Which one? I can't help myself. Which one do I want? Let's start with the Miami condo glut. How about that one? Wolf Richter, Wolf Street. Why the numbers on the surface don't add up. Condo sales in Miami-Dade County have plunged. Condos on the market have surged. Supply has hit 14 months. That's a long time for condos. Developers are sitting on completed units they can't sell. And months' supply in their projects has reached several years. Whoa. With this kind of supply and demand imbalance, sales down 25% from February of 2014, inventory up 90% since early 2013, you'd expect prices to head south. But the median price of condos in February, according to the Miami Association of Realtors, increased 6.3% year over year. This is the mystery we'll shed some light on. Let's look at this chart together. 2013 January, and then February of 2017 is this chart. Green line is unit inventory. How many condos do we have on the market or available, period? How many condos do we have? Red line, monthly unit sales. How quickly are these things selling? 2013, we had a lot of sales. Look at this, man. A lot of sales going on here. 2013. Then it starts coming down in just a year later. 1 year later, starts coming down pretty significantly if you look at this. It almost crosses the green line of inventory. Not quite. Markets rally. Something rallies. Up. Here we go. Up. Never mind. Back down again. Back up again. And then it finally it crossed the line, but now it's finally crossed the line and it's separated massively. Now, if you look at all the lows here of monthly unit sales, you can't really take this first one because it's not going to, you could take it. Now watch my mouse. If I were to draw a straight line across here, this is a trend. 1, 2, and 3. You could also go to the next one, and then you have 4 of them. 1. See, what this might have been is what we like to call a dead cat bounce. 1, 2, 3, into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is not knocking on my door. But look, 1, 2, 3, 4, straight down. And what do we have here? Green line, inventory. A glut, my friends, a glut of inventory. Stat Funding conducted an analysis of sale price per square foot in 4 condo projects with 2,634 units in Brick Hill, an area of Miami that is part of the condo corridor. These projects, 1050 and 1060 Brick Hill, Access Brick Hill, Plaza Brick Hill, and Jade Brick Hill, are representative of the overall condo market. Turns out per square foot prices in those 4 projects peaked in 2014 and 2015 and have since dropped between 10 and 16%. So what's going on? One of the projects was completed in 2004, the other 3 in 2008. Hence, there is a sales history. They're newer and well-maintained projects in the aspiring luxury and luxury categories of the market. Each project was built by a different developer. Pricing data as of March 2017 based on the multiple listing service, MLS, and the Miami-Dade recorder, so we have some very accurate information here. The 3 projects completed in 2008 got caught up in the foreclosure crisis when these units were liquidated at prices as low as $200 per square foot. Whoever bought them at this price more than doubled their money by 2014. But that party has now ended. 1050 and 1060 Brick Hill, 2008, aspiring luxury category, 2 towers, none on the waterfront, 576 units with studio, 1 bedroom, 2-story, 1 bedroom loft, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom penthouse units, 55 units, 9%, whatever. Average price per square foot has dropped 16% since peak in 2014. In this particular project, studios, lofts, and units below the 14th floor were excluded, and here's why. The layout of the building is peculiar. The parking pedestal is shared by both towers, and the amenities and the pool deck are on the 12th floor. The units below the 12th floor are squeezed in leftover spaces of the project and are almost all 1-bedroom, 2-story lofts. Given their proximity to parking, they have a street level feel, and according to Andrew Stern, CEO of Stat Funding, the price on the units is all over the place and not representative of the project as a whole. Studios were excluded because 1050 and 1060 is the only project of the 4 with studios, and there is no comparable data from the other projects. Penthouses were excluded for all 4 projects since all are unique and sales don't occur with enough frequency. So Access Brickhill, 2008. Aspiring luxury condos. Again, they got plenty of units, different sizes. The average price, once again, below the penthouse and whatnot, has dropped 11% since the peak in 2014. Plaza Brickhill, same thing. Dropped 10% since the peak of 2014. Jade Brickhill, 16% since the peak of 2015. The chart shows the average sales price per square foot for all 4 projects. So let's take a look at that, just so we can see where we're at. Right? We have way down here 2009, 10, 11, and then the chart shows in 2012. After recovery, everybody's happy. Recovery, man. Boom, $490 per square foot. Are you kidding me? And instantly, it starts going down, and then drastically going down from 2015 to 2016, and what looks like, again, drastically from 2016 to 2017. I'm trying to tell everybody, real estate, condos, all of it, the party is over. It hasn't ended, per se. There's still a little bit of lifeblood left in the party, but the party's over. And now it's a question of how soon can you and I, whoever, capitalize on this miserably failing real estate and buy us a house for a fire sale. I think we're a few years off of that, 2-3 years, but nonetheless. So, anyways, I'm done with that article for now. Let's focus on something else. The key thing here. What's the most expensive thing someone will buy in their life? A house. Or rent, etc. Same thing, mortgage, rent, same thing. It's the most expensive thing, most expensive bill we have these days. That's it. And pretty much always. That's how it's been. What's the second most expensive thing a person will buy? A vehicle. So if those 2 things have some major problems, flashing red light, sirens, 4-alarm fire via JSNIP 4, bring it to you every morning, we got a problem. What does that mean for the rest of the economy? It means we're in trouble. And this is the proof. Anyways, this is Zero Hedge. The auto industry is about to drive off a cliff again. Submitted by Gordon T. Long. Self-inflicted abuse. In the fall of 2015, we released a video study entitled The Coming Global Auto Abyss. Too much supply, too many brands, combined with too much credit. And I'll add one to that. The part about too much credit. It includes people who shouldn't have credit, who can't afford to pay back the credit they got, and are saturated in debt, and finding other credit cards, other credit to pay these other bills. But the problem is these people, all of us, don't have a printing press. The federal government can do that. Well, we'll just borrow more, and I'll approve myself for a new credit card, so to speak. We call that kicking the debt ceiling can down the road. And we'll be fine. You and I, we can't do that. When we got debt, what do? We have to deal with it somehow. We concluded that low interest rate monetary policy for the auto industry was like handing crack cocaine to a drug addict. The auto industry would rapidly and irresponsibly abuse it. to such an extent that it would once again spin out and careen back into what can only be determined or termed the Washington Substance Abuse Center. Whether mismanagement or clever strategy, we are unfortunately being proven right and are now witnessing the reality. Must have loaded standard options. So let's look at this little thing they have here. Lease 2 to 3 year, industry buyer's choice. And then we have purchase, financing average 69.1 months, high of 84 months, right? So 60 months was the norm, which even before that, 3 years, honestly, people used to get 3 year loans. But then it became really normal, get a 5 year, 60 months. Now the average is 69.1, almost 70 months. Why? Well, what changed? Why can't it just remain at 5 years like it's supposed to? And the highs now, oh, you really want that car bad enough? We got you covered. We'll give you an 84-month loan. By the time you pay the car off, it won't be worth hardly anything. Oh, boy. The Washington Keynesian planners mistakenly believe that cheap money still stimulates demand. It historically did this before it became a legally addicting substance, so to speak. But even its original tenet was essentially based on bringing demand forward. By design, this creates a demand hole in the future. But as Keynes himself famously rationalized, in the long term, we are all dead. So anybody with that viewpoint, and then FYI, all the central banks, all the top financiers, they're Keynesians. That's their belief. And Mr. Keynes himself says, in the long term, we are all dead. Doesn't sound like a policy you'd want to follow, would you? So don't worry when the economic need is urgent. Setting aside for a moment this critical structural reality, we need to remember that cheap credit additionally fosters structural ramifications seldom elucidated. Excess supply. Cheap and readily available credit creates excess supply, as manufacturers have the capital costs reduced, allowing them to competitively pursue market share in the wanton beliefs they can gain competitive advantage due to increasing volumes, buyer financing, supply chain leverage, aggressive advertising, etc. Industry culture. Sustained periods of cheap credit unintentionally changes buying behavior patterns, expectations, and financing structures of industries. Ford inadvertently signals the reality. During Ford Motor Company's latest earnings call, while defensively attempting to justify a massive 50% shortfall in earnings, falling to 30 to 35 cents from 68 cents in quarter one. Now, hold on. I could have swore in 2008 and 9, when the crash happened and the auto industry also had to be bailed out, Ford plummeted to like $2 a share. And then after the bailout, in a short period of time, like within a year or two, maybe even sooner, I don't remember, I was thinking about finding out right now, it was up to $20. I thought, man, if you would have played that, if you could have gone on that, $2 turns to 20. Whoa, could you made some serious cash? And I'm seeing this now. Are you telling me Ford is 30 cents? There's no way. There's no way Ford is worth 30 something to 60. Yeah, what is that? Well, oh, sorry, earnings. This is earnings. My bad. Having said that, it's down to $11.40 something cents. So the high, whoa. Well, that was way back in the day. Look at this, 1999 January. Let me open this up. 1999 January. January 8th, $37 for Ford. Goes back down to $6. This is March 2003. Goes back up, $13. 2008, 9 happened. $1.43. Remember, I said it was around $2. Up, bailout, cash for clunkers, bail out the auto industry. There it is, 1865. I knew it was around $20. Came back down. Oh, that's okay. We're good. Back to 17, 2013, 14, 15, and we're back down to 11. So 18 And even 17 here, 17 again. This is 2013 and 14, down to 11. Isn't it interesting that the housing stuff I'm showing you has a similar trajectory in a similar time frame? Isn't that amazing? So anyways, they're 50% shortfall in earnings. I thought I was looking at stock prices. I was about to say 30 to 35 cents from 68 cents in quarter one 2016 in versus expectations of 48 cents. They disclosed that sales volumes are now expected to fall off this year and next, 2017, 2018, with used car prices dropping for several years. JSNIP 4, you want that damn former police vehicle Chevy Tahoe? It's known as a PPV, Police Pursuit Vehicle. Chevy Tahoe, 2010 or newer. Just hold off, buddy, and pray to the YouTube gods and Google gods that the freaking revenue drop goes back to somewhere even close to normal and that the advertisers come back with full force. Because from the looks of it, Ford, real estate, anybody, they may be really needing to kick up the advertising. Things ain't looking too good right now. So how could this be with U.S. industry sales at historic levels approaching 18 million units per year and no one anywhere with any credibility even remotely suggesting that a U.S. recession was imminent? The answer is that that hole we referred to above has arrived, but it is a much worse chasm because of the industry financing options that have been foisted on the unsuspecting, tapped out U.S. buyers since the cash for clunkers sleight of hand. The industry has created a minimally 2-year hole in the market that will flood used and new auto supply inventories while buyers are effectively locked out. This is not how a well-managed industry strategically and responsibly plans, unless, of course, the game is actually government regulatory arbitrage. Think cash for safety to just justify new expensive regulatory features. How it was orchestrated. Give buyers only 2 choices. Auto leasing has exploded since 2015. I was telling you, my dad called me the other day. I had to pause the video. My dad was calling me. We were talking about some stuff. That was one of the things he said. He's like, you see these commercials? Have you seen these commercials? Do you imagine leasing a car for $150, $60 a month? $169 a month for a brand new car lease? Is this insane? $3,000 down, $165 to lease a car? This is insane. No wonder why everybody's leasing cars, even though you don't get to own them. They're trying anything, and then they feel like, well, when we're done with the car, we'll auction it off and recoup the additional money and we'll be good. But prices are falling, at least in the used car market, which also means when they go to take those cars that are off lease now, they're getting pummeled with the prices. So auto leasing has exploded since 2015 and now approaches 35% of all sales. I said this the other day. Are you telling me 1 out of 3 cars is leased instead of purchased, bought like financed? Are you kidding me? Nope, that's the stats. Then again, 3K down and 160 something a month. Hey, why not? Well, to be honest, I'd like to own my vehicle and not pay somebody, some stupid bank or finance institution money constantly. Taxes, fee, interest rates. I want to own it like that piece of garbage 2004 Crown Victoria I own. Paid for in cash. $2,800. Please. The lease terms are normally 2 to 3 years with questionable residuals being used to achieve low lease rates on highly priced units. We have now entered the period where those initially leased units are being returned in mass. Meanwhile, those buying versus leasing have been financing over much longer terms. Ford detailed this with the following chart for their units sold, but I don't need to show you. Vehicle prices since 2008 are also dramatically higher. A 28,000 vehicle in 2008. Listen to this very carefully, because I've been screaming about these car prices on every single video that I do about cars, and you know this. A $28,000 vehicle in 2008 is now $50,000 to $55,000. And I said it last year. Show me how a standard pickup truck, any brand you want to pick out, is worth $50,000. And even more important to me, who in the hell out there in their right mind is going out there and buying these new cars? And I know I just heard a bunch of you go, oh, damn, that was me, J Snip. You know what? Thanks for being honest, and I still love you. And Ford and GM and Chrysler, they love you even more. But anyways, $28,000 in 2008, now $50,000. How is that possible? We don't have hardly any inflation. The Federal Reserve said so. There's no inflation. Federal Reserve, do you take into consideration of car prices for your algorithms and your stats? Oh no, we don't ever look at that. Just like you don't look at housing, food prices, things like that. Yeah, we don't look at those stats either. But you're sure 2% that's the target. Yeah, gotcha. So what happens when the second most expensive thing a human being will buy in their life, which is a car, and you may buy multiple of them in your life, but it's a large purchase at one time. Even if you finance it, it's still that same amount, that big amount. $50,000. I just, my brain just freezed on me. 2008, $28,000. Right now, 2017, $50,000 to $55,000. So again, the second most expensive thing you will buy is a car. And it has now almost practically, you could say it has doubled in price in just a few short years. 2008 plus 10 years would be 2018. But we're in 2017, 9 years later. Is that normal? Now we know why. 84-month lease coming right up. Or 84-month financing. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, hell, 8 years. What do you need? We want you in a new truck. New car. $28,000. And the good news, which is actually bad news. Sir, the second you drive that turd off this lot, it's going to be worth in the 30s. And in a year from now, even with low miles, it'll be in the 20s. High 20s. 28, 29. So if you want that 2008 price, buy a used one that's a year old. And you can still get financing. Oh, no, I don't want a secondhand stuff. Now I got to buy a new one. I live in America. I want the American lifestyle, the American dream. And I want to spend money that I don't have like an American. I want the new one. Folks, it's time to get your lives in order and start making good decisions. Boy, oh boy, are we Americans very good at making piss poor decisions. I'm JSnip4, and I hope you approve my message. Take care.